All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. Good to see you. If you enjoy this channel, there's a Patreon link in the description. Also, if this true crime stuff is bumming you out a little bit, there's also my comedy channel in the description too, so check that out. All right, people, today, Jodi Arias is in the hot seat. I did kind of the background information. I got a lot of stuff wrong. But the Jodi heads straighten me right out in the comments. But today she's in the hot seat. And here we go. So I can already tell I'm going a little Jodi nuts. Because yesterday I was on the train and I didn't even notice. But at one point I was just staring off into space, humming Oh Holy Night. Then I kind of like snapped back into reality, and I looked over and this lady was just staring at me. I just kind of gave her the like, you don't want to know, like, I do have a friend named Shmita look, like, listen lady, back up. You don't know what I'm going through. But all right, so here we go. It starts with Jodi's head on the table waiting for them to come in. The first thing I notice is this interrogation room is by far the nicest I've seen since I've been doing this. There's like pictures on the wall. It looks like a motel. It looks like a hotel room. There's like a nice lamp. This table's circular with miles and miles of real estate behind her. I think what you got to do for an interrogation is you got to have a square table and you got to mash one of the edges into a corner, put them in that corner, and then cut off and just get right up in their grill. This is like, it looks like a table that you would go to the guidance counselor in high school and tell them all your problems. So it's a really nice interrogation room, which I don't think helps. If you can look over and see a nice picture of looks like a landscape or something, that can chill you out. Just like, I think I'm going to deny for the next 5 hours because I'm relaxed. There's a waterfall. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, so she starts with her head down, which I think is a good move because you can't really look at her face or, nonverbal cues if her head's down. So her head's down. And then, uncomfortable with her handcuff situation, she then gets up off the chair, which I don't know if any of the people that I've done yet have done anything like this. She gets off the chair and then sits on the floor. And at one point on the floor, she's like this, and then she like whips her hair way back. And when she did that, I was like, ha! She just is a horrifying, just the way she moves. I think I said that in the other one. So she's sitting there, and then this woman, I don't know, detective or something comes in, kind of like, is like, what are you doing on the floor? And she's just like, oh, I'm just so sweet. I'm Jodi. He, he. And she takes on this just over the top, I'm so sweet tone that just sounds stupid. It's like one of the questions when the detective gets in, he asked her and she goes, yes. It's like if a bad actor got in on the first day of like a movie or a play and she's like supposed to act sweet and the director would be like, listen, that doesn't sound real. You sound sweet, but not like, yes, I'm Jodi. Hee hee. And so she's just on this, and then all right, so then the detective gets in. And the first thing she does is ask, is someone going to bring me my purse? And and then she asks, is someone going to take the cuffs off? And then she asks if they can turn the heat up. And it just shows you what kind of person that she is she's like like roughly a month ago, she just filleted Travis. And now she's just demanding all this stuff in a sweet voice. Like, I'm cold. Can the heat turn up? I would have turned the heat down. I would have said, okay, let's let her sit in there for another hour with the heat down. Going up against someone like Jodi, you got to wear him out a little bit. We saw that with Chris Watts. It really, you're not going to get anywhere in the first couple hours of talking to someone like this with just that reptilian, just lie, 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 lie. You got to break them down. So I don't know how long they left her in there before they came in. I would have left her in there a little bit. I would have left her in there as long as possible and just let her get a little grumpy, let her get worn down a little bit, let her have, because you need energy to hang in there and not, so you got to tire her out a little bit. Okay, so she asked if they can turn the heat up, all this crazy stuff, and so the first strategy that the detective uses, he sits down and he says, okay, I've traveled all the way up here to talk to you. Saying, like, I didn't just, we're not just talking to every random lead that comes in. We've looked at this thing, and now I flew up here to talk to you about it. So just to say, just a little bit of pressure without coming out right out and saying it, just to be like, essentially, like if it was Ed, he would be like, we're not here for any reason, Jodi. It was his version of we're not here for any reason, George. I don't know what's going on, please. And then he says, I've been working on this case really hard for, the past month, and I know a lot of details. And that is the strategy of saying, all right, Jodi, I'm going to start asking you questions in a few minutes, and you can lie, but I'm telling you, I know a lot of these details, so you could just look like an idiot if you start lying. Spoiler alert, she just barrels right through that for the next couple of years. So he's like, I found a lot of details on Travis and about your relationship, and a lot of evidence is in that house, which I will share with you. So that's kind of, if you watch the Dr. Phil, or if you watch the What Did She Say? If you watch the Philip Markoff one, it's kind of the same strategy that he did with the Philip Markoff interrogation. So Phil really didn't want to talk. He really wanted a lawyer, but how they were able to get him to talk is they were say, we're looking at you because of, there's a few pictures and other things. And Phil was so curious what those other things were, is he abandoned wanting a lawyer and he decided to talk. So that's kind of what this detective is doing. He's saying, Jodi, we have a lot of evidence pointing at you, and we have a lot of details, and they're all pointing at you, and there's a lot of friends, and they're all pointing at you. So let's talk. And Jodi is not rattled at all. For sitting and talking to a homicide detective after she filleted her boyfriend like a fish, she seems pretty relaxed and maybe even having fun. She's not clammed up the way that, a lot of it, when the heat turns up, they just start hugging themselves. They're leaning as far back from the detective as possible. Jodi's like leaning totally in, arms up, like leg out. She's just like ready to do this. And I think part of that is her inability to feel, maybe. Or also, too, I really don't think that she has much to lose in this whole thing. She didn't really have too much of a life going. The whole Travis life tanked real hard, as we all saw. That did not work out the way she was hoping. She was in a financial free fall, serving at a Mexican restaurant in California, and owed everyone money. So there's not really. So I think the people that really have nothing to lose do better in these interrogations, because they kind of have that energy of like, well, if I wasn't here, I would just be serving enchiladas at the Mexican restaurant. Sad that Travis didn't marry me, so, at least this is exciting. I don't know, maybe. But she just doesn't seem rattled in the way that a normal person that has feelers would be sitting there being like, I am talking to a homicide detective. Crap. This is not good. Okay, so she's leaning in. He makes it very clear, you're not free to go. Reads the rights. Do you understand that? Do you understand your rights, Jodi? She's like, yes. I'm so sweet. It's just cool. Then she asks, is this being recorded? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know if it is. Which I've never really heard him say before. I always hear him say, yes, this is recorded for your protection, my protection. But he's like, I don't know. Maybe he was able to do that because this isn't his home court. He's just there in this, in the California interrogation room. All right, so then the first question is, what have you been doing? What have you been doing since this happened, Jodi? And her answer is that she's been looking at what people have posted on Facebook and MySpace. And apparently, I tried to find it for a while last night. I don't know if no one has it up online, but apparently she posted this long-winded Facebook message right after it happened about her memories with Travis. And then in her words, it was a little bit too of a diary post, and so she deleted it. And so imagine that you kill someone by stabbing them 27 times, slitting their throat, shooting their dead body in the face, and then while everyone's on Facebook being like, I miss my Travis, then you put this long post out. Imagine her writing that post. And then she's like, yeah, I feel like it didn't come off in the way that I wanted it to. And I think that I communicate better with pictures. So then I posted a lot of pictures. I knew that his family would want to look at him as they missed him. And she's just going on this crazy ramble, word salad. And this part of the interrogation is tough. I would just blank out for a little bit and then pop back in, and she's still just and if you think about it, and it's usually I would go rewind back, but with Jodi, it really doesn't matter. That's what I'm learning with Jodi. It's just, if you miss a whole diatribe of her talking, doesn't matter. It's just the same. Just keep on plowing. You just got to keep plowing with Jodi. All right. So then, also, so she's been posting on Facebook, posting pictures of the guy that she killed on Facebook. Nothing horrifying about that. All right. Then she talks about how she just owes everybody money. She owes her parents money, her grandparents money. Then she was talking about the guy that she bought a house with. She was like, yeah, he footed the whole bill, and I need to, pay him back. So some guy bought a house with Jodi, and she owes him all this money. I was thinking, who would do that? And then I half expected her to be like, yeah, his name's Mike DiPolito. Can you imagine Mike, bought a house, gives one to Dahlia, and then buys another house with Jodi? He's just I don't know, they're hot, I don't know. Mike. All right. And then they get into sort of the disintegration of her and Travis's relationship, and it's real sad. It's just a sad place to be in. So they were sort of dating. I think I said in the first one that they had dated for 2 years. That was wrong. I think they really only dated for, maybe according to Jodi, like a year or less than a year, but really maybe like 4 or 5 months. And it was never really like even good. I feel like Travis was always kind of one foot in, 1 foot out type of thing, and just always like, and then he kind of would have another girlfriend like Lisa and Megan, and Jodi would act okay with it because she like, I had to move home to be with my family. I was missing my family members' karate lessons, and I just needed to be around my family, so I moved home. It had nothing to do with that Travis just was dating other people. And so think about this. So Jodi wanted to marry Travis, and she always thought he would be a really good husband, and he did not want to marry her and started dating other people and would tell her that he's desperate to get married because he feels like he's getting old. And if you're 31 as a Mormon, it's really hard to find a good Mormon woman because they all get married when they're young. And she is sitting here going, I converted to Mormonism, you know? And so she's broke, right? Flat broke when she's in Mesa. And so he lets her clean his house. He'll pay her to clean his house. And at this time, while she's the cleaning lady, he's like kind of dating other people, and they're still sleeping together. And I was just thinking, so I think we've probably all done it, where you just stay in a relationship way too long, and instead of just breaking it up, you're both not good for each other. And that's not a great place to be in already. And then on top of this, they just have the whole like Mormon thing on top of it, where they'll like sleep together, and then there'll be all this guilt of like, it already feels horrible to do all that kind of stuff to be in that spot without the whole like, oh, we slept together, now we got to go talk to the bishop. You got to go like talk to a guy in a robe and tell him like, yeah, we banged again. And you know, it's just like, and Travis was like, I've already had trouble with this with the bishop, I don't want to tell him again. And so it just sounds like a real sad state of affairs for this relationship. And so it's on the way out. Travis is like seeing other people at this point, and Jodi is still the cleaning lady. That's how you know if it's time to just leave the relationship, is if the person is dating someone else and you're the cleaning lady. All right, that's just sad, Jodi. At that point, wouldn't you just be like, all right, Travis, good luck, I'm going back to California? She's just like cleaning the toilet while he's dating someone else. So that's pretty sad. And then the detective slowly kind of starts turning on he just straight up tells her, he's like, he didn't think you were marriage material. He's savage in a couple of these. He's like, so from what I found, he doesn't think that you're marriage material. Just to kind of, I think, rattle Jodi, get her off a little bit. But she's like, yeah, I know. He would tell me that. And the interesting thing about that, and then she would just go on this blah, 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 blah. And then she's rambling, ramble. And then at 44 minutes in, he kind of, at this point, the detective has just been listening and kind of been going, okay, all right, not really stopping and being like, that's weird, or pushing anything, just being like, all right, okay, listening, all right, yeah, that's what I found too. And then at about 44 minutes in, he goes, Jodi, you were doing some weird things, right? Like that one time Travis went out of town and you just went over and his friend was there and just was like, why is Jodi here? And she's got an answer for everything. A long, monotone word salad that'll put you to sleep for everything. So she's like, yeah, he told me that I should come over and watch the dog, and his friend didn't know I was going to be there, and she was really mad. But I was told that I could have full range of the house on that trip, and just blah, da, da, blah, da. And, all right. And then he brings up, oh, like, weren't you a little bit jealous? And then he gets an answer that he's not happy with, just ramble, ramble, ramble. All right. And then we kind of get into the meat of this first one is she asks him about the infamous road trip where she was going to a business trip in Salt Lake City, and then she was going to go see someone that she was sort of had started dating around in California, and then her whole plan was to just muck that whole trip up, turn her phone off, zip over, kill Travis, and zip back, and then just to be like, I never even went close to Arizona. I'm just sweet Jodi. And the problem is it's real hard to fake that you didn't go to Arizona. Just the miles don't add up. Her cell phone turned off in the perfect spot that, it like pings on this tower. And then the time that Travis was murdered, it doesn't ping. And then on the way out, it pings. And she's on a highway that you can only get on if you like went through Arizona. So her plan of just like, I went on this trip and I just drove around and then I got lost for 18 hours. Sorry. Is real hard because this detective has been looking at the maps, has been looking at maps and going over this. And so she's like, oh, can I draw you a map? And she draws a map. And then for the next chunk of the interrogation, she's just sitting there being like, and then I went from California to St. George, and then I got on the wrong highway and drove back to California on accident. And then I went here trying to explain all these hours. It's a 48-hour trip. And essentially, after they go over this map, the detective goes, all right, Jodi. And for the first time in the interrogation, he goes, I got a problem with this. I got a problem with this trip. Okay? Because even if you got lost and drove way the hell over here, like you said, and even if you got lost again and turned around and lost your phone and slept in your car for 10 hours multiple times, there's still 18 hours left over that are just, what did Jodi do? And also, it doesn't make sense that you ended up on this highway because you were going this way and your phone turned off and then it pinged in Arizona on the way out. This 18 hours, you were in Arizona. It's proven. And she's like, well, my cell phone, it ran out of batteries, and then I found it, and then I was under the seat the whole time, but I did sleep. And she's just rambling. She's doing the Jodi ramble. And for pressure being turned up, she's still leaning in. She has like a leg up, like not really any body language of someone that is rattled because they're talking to a homicide detective about the last few months of their freedom. And she's got an answer for everything that he's like, well, you can't be on this highway from this highway. You would have had to, it's impossible, Jodi. I've stared at this map for a really long time. And she's just like, oh, well, maybe I turned off here and went through Vegas. And then I definitely remember. So she's got this answer for everything. And he's like, your phone turned off, and she's like, it was just bad timing. And then he basically says, you can just keep talking about this, your trip, but I'm not going to go with it. And then he goes, and also, what would you do if I could prove that you were there? Prove that you were at the house. And she's like, what? And then he explains to her that the digital camera, Jodi, that you were taking pictures of Travis before you killed him, that you put in the washing machine, that actually took a picture a picture was taken on accident. It seems like he dropped the camera, or she dropped it while she was killing him, and it took pictures. And then she put it in the washing machine and ran it through a wash cycle. Well, he's like, we pulled those pictures off, Jodi. You were there. What are you going to, And she's like, I was not there. And, and he goes, there is so much evidence in that place. And she's like, well, I lived there and he's like, no, Jodi. There are pictures that were taken while he was, and she goes, really? And at this point, you can really see that Jodi is there's just something different about the way that she works, because if someone's telling you there's pictures of you murdering someone, I have a picture, you would think that there would be some sort of, and I think maybe she just is comfortable in that, on that level. She just is like, I'm just going to ramble and lie. And if the pressure turns up, I'll just stretch out the lie even longer. And I got to say, the interrogator, I think, is doing well at this point. It's good timing. He's turning up the pressure in a nice, slow, and steady way. And I think now, but as we know with Jodi, she can handle it. But I'm gonna cut off. With that one. That's about an hour into the interrogation of like 8 hours. So, Jesus. All right. So I'm gonna cut it off there. Everyone, thank you so much who have liked and subscribed and commented. It's so fun. I appreciate it so much. Thanks to all the Patreons. The patrons on Patreon, you're the best. See you tomorrow, everybody. True Crime Loser out.